Welcome to Drone Brothers Radio, where we explore the crossroads of drone innovation and the construction industry. Join us as we share insights, stories, and strategies shaping the future from the sky and the ground up.
Alex, thanks for coming. If you can give me a quick introduction of yourself, your name, your company.
Yep, my name is Alex Castillo. I started Los Angeles Aerial Image, started the company in 2015. I was part-time with the company until about 2021. I got pulled into construction through another guy who asked me to cover for him. Covered it for him, did an ortho for him, and then I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. I want to do this more. So got into it, pushed, and started getting a lot of construction sites. And I was just from one to another all day long.
So your first real drone was the DJI, so the Phantom 3. So what's your go-to drone today? What's your what do you use most?
The Mavic 3 Pro is my go-to.
I know a lot of guys are upgrading to M3Es and fancier stuff.
I have the M3E. That's for my construction for sure.
Okay.
But as far as like video and photo quality, like the Mavic 3 is what I'm going for. But on construction sites, it's the Mavic 3E because I use the RTK. That's valuable right there.
The biggest challenge for us, and I don't know if that's for you as well, is the education, is educating these guys on what drones can do. So what should a superintendent or a PM know before implementing drones on their site? What advice would you give a sup and a PM?
Being simple, going with an orthomosaic, but it's got to be consistent. It's got to be weekly or bi-weekly. And, they got to be shown how to use it and what are the values of it. Like just early on in a construction project, you got they're moving dirt, they're moving earth, they're leveling, and the site changes really fast. And so if you get out there weekly, that is a value for them to see the changes, to see what's going on, to see if there's any mistakes on certain maybe trenches or something. Progress shots are okay, but they're just not as good as an ortho. An ortho, they can take and measure, they can measure whether dirt piles or measure lengths, measure volumes.
Well, let's talk about some successes that you've seen these guys have, because once you find out these guys have success with the drones, then I've never in 11, 12 years of doing this, I've never had a superintendent or a PM say, "Oh, that mapping thing is the dumbest thing ever. I'll never do that again." Once they've done it, they become reliant upon that.
So early on, I was doing we were mapping decks of PT decks, and to me, like, it just makes sense. Like here's a multiple level building, and then they're putting these post tension cables. For those who don't know what PT is, cables, they go through the concrete slabs, and once they pour the concrete, they tighten the cables, and that gives the strength and levels it, and there's a bunch of things to do with the tensions. But what I heard is they go in there later on when the other trades come in, and they'll drill in to maybe put some electrical through or whatever they got to do, maybe put a plumbing pipe in, and sometimes they'll hit things, and if they hit a PT cable and it breaks, that's tens of thousands of dollars to repair, on up to $100,000. And these guys are telling me that they budget for that because it happens all the time. And so when we came in and we scanned the deck, and then we gave them the CAD files and the as-built, they would pass it out to the trade. So now when they went to go drill, they just measure, and then they drill a hole, and then they wouldn't hit nothing. So when that first project ended, these guys were so elated. Like they were like, we will never build another building without using your services, because we didn't spend that money that we budgeted this time. Like we didn't have to. And they talked about X-raying. They would X-ray sometimes, but that costs a lot of money, and they got to clear the site or the deck for so many hours for the radiation. So it was a problem they had that we were able to solve, and it just was wonders. Now that company will not build a PT deck without using a drone.
Yeah. What flight cadence do you recommend? So in order to get kind of the best ROI for a construction job, how often should a GC be flying their job site to get the best return on their investment?
So like I said, I think in the beginning when they're moving the earth, they're doing earthwork, I think it should be weekly. because there's the most movement. They get to measure the volumes of the dirt. They get to see the movement, the trenches, the holes, wherever. And that's the most movement. Once they start putting the foundation in and start building the building, then usually we go to like bi-weekly because there's not as much movement from one level to the next. If it's a multiple level building, it doesn't change that fast. It kind of goes to a slower pace.
Yeah.
But then once we get to the end, when we start bringing in the trees and all that stuff, all the extra stuff, that's when you should go back to weekly because, then it changes. The outside changes faster again. So I think weekly for the beginning, bi-weekly in the middle, and then we go back to weekly at the end.
At the end, when all the changes happening. Okay.
Yeah.
What deliverables like orthos, 3D, as built? What gets the most traction with Soups and the team on the field? What do they like seeing the most?
So I think the orthos are the most valuable for them because they're just getting that full picture of the site, and like I said, they can measure the volumes and the site. As built are really good because those are passed out to the different trades and they use them. Like when we were doing the decks, they would print out a full ortho and put it on every floor so the trades can go in and see the information, or they get the as built, they can use it. And then I think everybody got the file that they can put on the overlay on the CAD, and so all those together I think make it the deliverable where it becomes valuable for them. So
okay,
yeah.
So being a pilot that you understand the importance of safety, and obviously these job sites have to be safe. What's one safety or airspace check that you never skip when you're flying with the drone? Is there anything that what advice can you give about safety with the drones on these job sites?
So the biggest thing that I think on job sites are the cranes. You gotta watch them cranes. Like I've been on sites where they'll say, hey, contact us, we'll radio the crane guy and he'll stop. Great, that's perfect because then you can do your I usually fly manual around the cranes because it's so. But there's sites that will not stop the crane. They will not stop it. They do your job with them moving. They don't care. They're not stopping it. And so that thing's swinging around. And if you're doing an automated flight and it just happens to swing around when your drone's right there, like, so
you're in trouble.
Yeah. So you got to watch the crane. You got to see what it's doing. If they're not going to stop it, then you're going to probably have to fly manual or fly above it, which it just depends on what you're doing. Because if you're trying to get some detail, you can't fly above it. So, that's the main thing. That crane.
Be careful around cranes. Yeah.
That thing moves around and it moves pretty quick too. Some of them.
Okay. You give any kind of concrete examples of how you've used a drone or helped out a construction site to save a client money?
Yeah, well, the example I gave of the PT decks, I mean, we saved them tens of thousands of dollars because they didn't have to use any money to fix any problems if they hit something, and that went on. I mean, like I was told, and I don't know how true this is, but I was told there was always a problem when they start coring and then drilling to the concrete slabs, that there was never a precise way to do it. They would just drill and hope that they didn't hit nothing. And with our services, they were able to eliminate that, drill precisely within the accuracy of inches that we gave them.
Okay.
And they were saving that money because they weren't breaking nothing and they didn't have to fix nothing. So they had a budgeted amount for occurrences that would happen, and they didn't have to spend that money. So of course everybody's happy when that money's not spent.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What about an example of time, like a time-saving example of what are there things that history that you can from clients that they save themselves a bunch of time of rework time or days?
Yeah, that's happened too. I mean, even in the beginning stages when they're moving dirt and are digging trenches to where they're going to put foundations, and if it's off in the wrong spot, I mean, saving them time from once they fill it with concrete, now you're talking about $100,000 to break it out, move the trench or move the foundation to another spot, and then fill it with concrete. That's probably a couple of weeks, maybe a week or two, and probably $100,000. I mean, with all the work and labor and stuff that you're so definitely when they catch these problems with the earthwork in the trenches, that's a time saver right there and a money saver. So
Yeah.
there's two in one.
Yeah. So what common misconception the GCs have about drone mapping that you wish you could fix in 30 seconds? Is there any kind of common? There may not be. Is there any kind of misconception they have about what mapping can do for them?
I think the only misconception is where they think that it's not valuable. They think they're just, like I said, the old school guys. They just think it's pretty pictures, and they just don't know the value. They don't know that they can use it for their planning and their measuring. And so I just think that is a problem that we all need to fix, is educating these guys on where we can go and where the technology is at and the use cases for it that they're just not aware of. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned early on about a background in photography, and you have probably had flown an Inspire, and you got the latest Mavic 3 Pros. When does cinema grade gear come into play on construction? And when doesn't it? When do you use cinema grade gear versus just regular drone?
So when I'm doing my weeklies or bi-weeklies, I'm using the Mavic 3E, and that's just the thing I use. That's the tool I use. I go in every week and do that. If I use cinema gear, it's because I'm doing marketing stuff for them. They've hired me to come in, and I've done testimonials type stuff where I sit them down and do a talking head and film them with my cameras, and then I'll use an Inspire 2 to get just the B-roll stuff of the construction site.
If it was you're starting all over again in 2015, what would you tell yourself today you've learned in the last 10 years? What's the big takeaway?
So in the early half, I was really big on like the equipment. Like every time something new came out, I wanted it. All the neat DJI stuff, and that's not what you need. You need to know how to use your stuff. You need to know how to use the softwares. You need to know what you're doing. You need to know how to fly safely. I never had an accident on site, but I've crashed many drones, and that was all in the beginning. Like I crashed a lot. I was just learning stuff I always flew RC airplanes, but these were different. They just weren't the same. And plus the technology was a little off, and sometimes they would just crash for no reason.
Yeah.
But I always wanted the newest drone, and I always wanted the newest camera and everything. And so I'd make money, and then I'd turn around and go buy something new, and it just was that cycle. And the last probably 5 years, I haven't been like that. I'll buy equipment when I need it. And I was still flying the Phantom 4, a couple weeks ago. I pulled it out, and someone even said like, "Oh, you're still flying that dinosaur?" Yeah, it still makes me money, so I'm gonna fly it. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, a lot of people do it. It's technology age where people get caught up in the new stuff and they want to go buy it and spend their money. But I think it's use your tools that you have, get good with them, and use them for as long as you can, and save your money, because this line of work, it's up and down. Like I was having years where I was making lots of money, and this last year the economy slowed down. I don't know. I'm sure on your end you see it. The construction sites are they're just slower. They're not as many popping up.
Yeah.
And so just use your tools, learn them.
Yeah, don't overspend. That's the biggest advice I give, because people ask, do I need to go out and buy it? No, I still fly an Air 2S. It cost me $799. It's 3 years old. It connects to Drone Deploy. It works for 95% of the jobs that I need to fly. It works perfectly. Why would you go out and spend crazy amounts of money? So
yeah, for sure. That's definitely a
So where do you see the future happening? I know this is moving so fast, and all the technology, the cameras are changing, the drones are changing. Where do you see the future of reality capture going with drones and 360 cameras?
So I was just having this conversation with my wife. Drones in a box are, those things. I've seen them out on sites now. They're starting to come up, and
they're real.
And the guys are sitting in the office, programming them and sending them out. So, I don't know. And with AI and stuff, I just don't think that, like, in 10 years, maybe, maybe not 5, but maybe in like 7 or 8 to 10 years, that, there won't be as many drone pilot jobs out there. You'll be managing the data. Someone's gonna sit at a desk, have the drone, set it up to fly, and then when the data comes in, they're just gonna learn how to manage it, how to send it to processing, and that's it. So
Don't you find that a lot of the drones in the box, these are real. I don't think people realize what's going on. I interviewed a guy last month for the same Drone Brothers Radio. He's a VDC director down in Texas. They have 10 drones in a box that they've ordered that are actually in a warehouse waiting to be distributed to their sites around Texas. So this is like this is happening right now. And
yeah.
don't you think there are a lot of construction companies that they want to keep a hands-off approach, that they want someone else to manage this stuff, even though the drone can fly autonomously? They need someone to still manage that program. They're construction guys. They want to manage a job site, not manage technology.
I would say yes. That's what you would think, but it seems like they want to hire someone within. Maybe it's cheaper for them to put someone on salary who could do multiple jobs, could do some other administrative work, but then also learn how to do the drone stuff. I mean, it just I've lost clients where they've gone to someone inside. They hired it within. I've actually had clients not call me for a while because they tried it and then realized they couldn't do it. So then they call me back and say, hey, they won't really tell me that, but I kind of figure it out on my own that they tried it and didn't work out. So they called me back. But I mean, they're going to try to save their money where they can. And, it's not, of course we save them money, but if they can get the flights for cheaper, they're going to go for it. So,
So what are your plans for the next 6 months or the year to keep changing in the industry? How do you stay at the cutting edge of this stuff? What are you doing to keep to keep that you're relevant in this space?
Yeah, so I think so when I first went full time, I wasn't marketing at all. And I put up a website and had that out there, and I did a little bit of social media stuff, but I was too busy. It didn't need to market. I was the work was just flowing in. And at this point in time where it slowed down, I'm boosting my marketing, working on my website more, and just getting in there with just the marketing end of it, because there's still a lot of companies out there that are not using drones and that could use them.
Correct.
So this is a big country. We got a lot of things going on. They're still building. It's slowed down a little bit, but they're still building. So just got to reach those guys, and like I said earlier, just educate them on the drones and find your way in there. I mean, it's very difficult with the old school, but I do see some younger guys coming in that are in the head positions. There are some young guys, so it's kind of in the middle right now. Things are turning over a little bit. Some younger guys are getting out there and becoming the supervisors and the supers, and it's just a matter of getting out there and talking to the right people.
Are you seeing more competition for pilots out there, or has it kind of peaked and now their guys have gotten disgruntled? They found us hard to make a living, that they're kind of dropping off out of the world? Or are you finding more pilots out there or less pilots to compete with?
That's a good question, because I know for a while there was a lot of guys coming in and flying and getting their 107s and getting out there, and they learned real quick that it's not easy. And I think a lot of people think that they're just going to jump in, go buy a drone, and the work's going to fall on their feet. But when they learn very quickly that that's not what happens, they start falling out.
Yeah.
I can't say I know that a lot of them still jumping in. I mean, I think in this day and age, guys want to not sit in the office all day long and work, so they're trying to get into this type of line of work. So, I mean, it's just weird times in general right now. I think there's probably still a lot of new pilots coming out, but it's not easy out there. And to new pilots, it's not easy in anything you do. So, you're gonna have to work hard, and that's it.
Yeah, and then you got this. All these pilots think there's a pot of gold out there, and they sign up for all these DSPs, they sign up to be a pilot, and then they find out I'm only getting paid $50 or $60. We call it the race to the bottom. That it's hard to make money unless you can figure out how to do it on your own, because it becomes a race to the bottom.
Yeah, when I first, because I got signed up with you guys probably in the beginning when you guys first started, that around that time the pays were decent. I mean, and so like it was great, but the money is when you're a business owner and you go out there and get your own clients. That's the only way you're going to make real money and be able to, expand your business is by going out and get your own clients. There's no other way. I mean, otherwise you're working for someone else, and when you're working for someone else, it's just like having a job somewhere else. You're never going to build that wealth. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Outside of construction, when you're not working, what type of thing do you like to fly and shoot things outside of construction?
I like to fly
working?
this.
Okay.
I like to fly the plane. There's so many photos and videos you can get from the air above 400 feet.
Yeah.
So I do that. But other than that, I've done videos for bands like BTS, the K-pop band. I did a couple of videos for them. I've done some Amazon shows. So that stuff, the film stuff is really fun. You meet a lot of people, you're on set. But the one thing that I'm not a fan of is like, they're long days. And it goes back to my previous career. I worked as a probation officer. I was there for 16 hours a day. And it just was, it just gut wrenching. It's always, you're just there. And with construction, like even if I'm working all day long, but I'm at a site for an hour, I get to leave and go to another site. And it's the change, I think for me, that change is awesome. Like I love it. Some stuff that I'm doing currently is, along with the fires that we had here in California, I started working with a new startup company. They're doing an AI application that helps the fire departments visualize these fuels that are in the mountains and the hills. And so I've been doing a lot of like LiDAR and hyperspectral and multispectral and RGB orthos. And they're using this data and they're feeding it to this AI program, and they're trying to sell it to the fire departments that just on how to manage how the fire will grow, like which directions it will go. I guess they could put in the wind directions, the wind speed, and then they're able to build a model and then it's pretty
that's pretty cool.
Interesting. Yeah, it's not construction, but it's definitely a pretty cool little way to get out there and get some work. I mean, we're mapping like 100 acres at a time, and just it's pretty cool. So,
that's great.
Yeah, that's been keeping me busy. I love it.
What advice? So last question. What advice do you give someone that's starting in the business today? What advice do you give them to get started in this space?
I think I think I said this earlier. Just learn your gear. Learn how to fly. Learn the the 3D modeling aspect of it. If you're going to do construction, you got to learn your stuff. Because getting out there and trying to figure it out on site is not the way to do it.
Not the way to do it.
And once you learn it, it's easier to talk to people about it. Once you're talking to these people about it, then you sound more professional, and they're more likely to hire you. And number one, I think, and this is what we were talking about a few minutes ago, is that about these new pilots, learn how to run a business. Go. I mean, there's YouTube universities out there. Learn how to set your business up. Learn how to set the systems up and run it like a business. Get a bank account for the business. Don't just run it like a business, because if you do, you're more likely to be a little more successful. But if you're not, and you're just running it as a side business, even if it's a side business, it should be ran as a business, because you're more likely to be successful that way. Just putting in systems and working with it. But if you think you're going to buy a drone, go out next week or take your test, get a 107, go out there and go get some business. I mean, you may, but you're going to screw it up somehow. That's just the way it is.
A lot of work.